up, Cinephiles? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we'll be doing our late review of Wonder Woman 1984, directed by Jenkins. Now, I know you guys have already moved on from this film, but this movie has just dropped from HBO Go Asia, and we don't have HBO Max, so we figured we're still doing a review on this. Better late than never, right? So before we continue with this review, I invite you guys, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We do weekly reviews of movies and TV shows. And while you're at it, please give this video a like. Now, for the purpose of giving the gist of this movie, Phil, what is this movie all about?
Okay, Kevin, so Wonder Woman 1984 is obviously set during the 80s. And here, Diana, of course played by the amazing Gal Gadot, and a sort of revived Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, must contend with Diana's colleague, Barbara Minerva, played by Kristen Wiig, and a businessman named Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, whose desire for extreme wealth sends the world down a path of destruction after an ancient artifact that grants wishes goes missing.
Finally, we can talk about this. Let me just preface that I am still mixed with my feelings in this movie, because there are some parts of this movie that I really like, and then there are some parts that I would like to scrap away entirely, you know, but there's still positives on those parts. Let's start with the woman of the show, Gal Gadot. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not particularly impressed with this girl's acting, you know. She's very tall, she's very pretty, she has this regal presence, and whenever she smiles, she melts our hearts. She has that star power. But when it comes to, you know, acting, there are some questionable parts in her past work as Wonder Woman. And in here, she was given more emotional moments, more monologue. I can say that there was an improvement to this character. Wonder Woman is like the positive beacon, you know, in the very dark DC. She embodies hope, love, all those good things. And I can really sense that Gal Gadot is giving her best here, though it's nowhere near an Oscar-worthy performance for me. I just love that she shows vulnerability and layers, more so this time. And yeah, even though in those fight scenes, you can definitely see that. That being said, I wish that the film focused more on her, because there are times that I feel like, well, she was definitely upstaged in terms of narrative share here by the two villains, which I did not expect. Sometimes I feel like Wonder Woman was even upstaged by the lasso of truth here. I guess that's one of my favorite aspects of the movie. The lasso of truth, wow, there are many functions. At one highlight of the movie, which was shown on the trailer, Wonder Woman rode the lightning, the invisible jet from the comics. I think that was a wonderful sight. But the main plot here, I guess 80s is the time where capitalism starts to boom. People want so much for themselves, and then we have here a perfect villain at that time, which is Max Lord, who literally voices to the audiences that you can have more. For me, the main plot involving this magical gem, I felt like it was a bit elementary for me. I felt like it was something that Shazam could have used. It felt a bit childish for me. But you know, clearly there are a lot of stakes in here. It's just that we spent much of the second act paddling around, nothing much happening, and then those action sequences. There are some standout moments, but nothing really worth memorable in the whole slew of superhero action films. So I'm gonna start off with that.
Okay, before I say what I'm about to say, I have to reveal some of my bias here, because I've always been a fan of Gal Gadot before she actually became Wonder Woman due to the Fast and Furious films. She's sort of a really big crush of mine in Hollywood. I actually think that she's really great in this role. I can't imagine any other actress embodying Wonder Woman on screen more than Gal Gadot actually. And while I agree that none of her performances are necessarily Oscar worthy, I just really can't imagine any other actress playing Wonder Woman as great as she can. With regards to the movie though, this movie start off quite great for me, because the very first scene here is an awesome sequence when Diana was a young child and she's competing against other Amazonians. And then the next scene, we have a mall scene where she fights some robbers. Those sequences actually heightened my expectations for the film, because that was so fun. But then it just became a drag. I also want to mention that I think that it's a very big missed opportunity that this film was set in the 80s and there's lack of 80s music in it. The music for the trailer of this movie was very techno 80s vibe that really had me hyped up. But the film itself is very lacking in that department in terms of the music. So, capitalism aside, I really didn't get the feeling that this movie was entirely set in the 80s. Now, with regards to the main plot, why I thought that it's just really, really messy. Let's start with Steve Trevor, man. Steve Trevor, it's
Okay.
really weird how he comes back into the body of another person because of this magical wish. You can see that from the trailer. It's just weird to me that he can't come back with his own body while the other wishes granted by this particular stone is out of this world. I mean, missiles come out of nowhere or walls literally separates countries and they just can't give Steve Trevor his own body. That's just really weird to me. And during the third act of this movie, it just went all over the place. I really just almost can't comprehend how messy it became during the third act. With regards to Kristen Wiig, we know that she's a great comedic actress. She's actually great in the role. It's just that her character just felt like she was put there so that Wonder Woman can have this third act fight. And also, the CGI is just terrible, man. The CGI is just terrible for that character when she transforms into Cheetah. One of my favorite parts of the movie, though, is Pedro Pascal. I'm a big fan of Pedro Pascal. We've seen him from Game of Thrones, Narcos, The Mandalorian, of course. Pedro Pascal, he's a very versatile actor because he's not necessarily playing the same characters over and over again. And in here, he is just an over-the-top villain who is crazy for wealth. I just really can't help but enjoy his energy on screen, even though I know that you have a problem with this character because he just comes off as such a douchebag in this movie. But I actually really enjoyed him. So, Kevin, what else do you have?
Okay, first for Steve Trevor here, played by Chris Pine. I think time and again, he has shown that he has great chemistry with Gal Gadot here. I still kept questioning his existence in the movie. Like, I feel like this movie could have done it, giving him just a cameo role. Still fun, I guess, to see their dynamic, their banter, but it does create confusion along with those questionable plot decisions. Steve Trevor not having an actual body. These wishes, they tend to be interpreted differently. Then for Kristen Wiig, actually, Kristen Wiig is probably my favorite character in this movie. Kristen is not the most obvious casting choice. You're looking for a femme fatale character here, probably who's younger and more voluptuous. But you know, for me, Kristen Wiig kills this character. Initially, I felt like her geek persona is one of an extension of her characters from an SNL skit. But as her character progressed on, she proved to me that she deserves to be in this role. However, I'm not entirely sold on her character transition from being this meek, nerdy girl to this angry girl. Like, I wanted to get behind her reasons for hating Wonder Woman so much. Part of me wishes that this movie would just scrap the 84 theme entirely along with Pedro Pascal's Max Lord character and just make this into a Wonder Woman versus Cheetah. Give her a solid origin story, not just that she's this random nerd girl who happens upon this magical stone and wishes to be like Diana. Give her some actual reasons for hating Diana. And I felt like the movie did not successfully provided those reasons. Hence, her character arc is not as successfully as portrayed, though I think Kristen Wiig is amazing. And then Pedro Pascal's character, honestly, I'm still conflicted with this character. I love Pedro Pascal as an actor. Okay, he's going to be an over-the-top character. He's going to chew every scene that he's in. And maybe it works because it's an 80s set, you know? You need that over-the-top villain. But I guess it's just a matter of overexposure that every time I see him on screen, I get mad because Max Lord is actually the main villain here. It's not Cheetah, so I'm starting to get disappointed because every time he's on screen, he's taking away some of the screen time that's supposed to be given to Cheetah and to Wonder Woman. And I don't think that they portrayed his character arc just as successful as they wanted it to be because his backstory got cramped in the end. Like, what is the motivation of this character? Why is this character so mad? Where is this megalomaniac desire coming from? It's just shown in a cramped backstory, you know, flash of events towards the end. I'm not actually mad of having multiple villains for a superhero film. It's just that it's hard to nail them, giving justice to their arcs. It's kind of frustrating that the movie spends the second act almost going nowhere, but it does not have much of a great payoff when it comes to these villains. The final fight here of Cheetah and Wonder Woman, I just felt like it was lackluster. I have to agree the CGI of Cheetah here was terrible. It kind of looked like she was in the Cats production. But again, I was doubtful because this movie was intended to be shown on the cinema. Upon the release of this trailer, I was thinking that maybe it will look better on an IMAX screen, but we will never know. And same goes for the dialogue. It kind of feels cheesy. A part of me thinks that they're using this cheesy dialogue because they're in the 80s and they're going in with the tone. I have no qualms for the music, maybe just because we're so used to watching Stranger Things and its cool soundtracks that show gives. It's almost like a comfort zone for most films and shows nowadays to set their stories in the 80s so that you can already have that immediate life and color. I think the movie was able to show that mostly on fashion. The costume here of Diana Prince and Barbara Minerva, I think they're really rocking those styles along with the guys of the show. But yeah, I mean, this show, first and foremost for me, is about giving girl power and feminism. And I was just kind of upset that Trevor, who was not supposed to be in the movie in the first place, and then Max Lord took so much of the screen time. And maybe it's just my personal opinion that I really want this to be Wonder Woman versus Cheetah story.
Actually, Kevin, I think we're on opposite sides here. I agree with you that both villains was really underdeveloped here, but also I'm at the side that I wanted Cheetah to be the one cut off from this movie, because since that this movie really had less of her, it felt like she's the unnecessary part of the movie, because to me at least it felt like she was just here for that third act fight. I would have wanted her to probably be on Wonder Woman Part 3, not necessarily here. I'm fine with this being Maxwell Lord. It's just done really messy. I agree with you. The backstory of this guy is everything is underdeveloped, but for me, just Pedro Pascal's energy on screen really just carries that character in a way. I really didn't have that much problem with the villain. I had the problem with the conflict, with the writing, with the script. With regards to that action scene in the third act, they made that entire scene very dark. Even if you heighten up the brightness to max in your iPad or in your television or in your cell phone.
I was increasing my brightness in my laptop, but no, to no avail.
I think that was done intentionally because they just wanted to hide how bad the CGI is and how bad the effects of that fight was. It also wasn't particularly great fight. So all in all, Wonder Woman 1984, I still think that if you're just looking to have a good time, watch Gal Gadot kick some ass, because there are still some great action sequences here. And you wanna see another character played by Pedro Pascal that's different, I think that you can still have fun with this, but it's just a bummer to me how messy it became, especially towards the end. This is still directed by Patty Jenkins. She was the director of Wonder Woman, that film in 2017. So I expected more from this because the first film was just so much better than this. So I am going to give this movie a 3 out of 5 stars.
It's hard to be a filmmaker. Not everything that you're gonna put out is going to be a hit, but I have a feeling that Patty Jenkins will make a comeback from this and make an even third film of Wonder Woman. I will still definitely watch it. It has dazzle, it has vibrance. Unfortunately, those kinetic energy was toned down by the second half. I definitely believe that this movie would have been better if it's 30 minutes shorter, a more focused storyline. There's a harmless message about having hope in the most desperate situation and always choosing to do the right thing. It kind of leans too much on that idealism because there's a collaborative effort here that's needed to be done towards the end, and I find it kind of hard to believe, but in terms of embodying what Wonder Woman represents, I think the character was still in there, and there's a nice Easter egg there towards the end. You guys definitely know what I'm talking about. But I guess it just has a model journey. So the first Wonder Woman film has set a high bar for me. I think this movie still soars on some level, but not as high as the first film. So I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5 stars as well.
And that's it for our review of Wonder Woman 1984. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to us for weekly reviews of movies and TV shows.
Also, let us know what you think in the comment sections down below. Thank you so much guys for watching. Until then, see you on the next one.
Bye bye guys!